All right, hey everybody, I am John Kucera, product manager on the team that is bringing you Lightning Utilities.
And I am Heather Sterling, and I'm one of the technical leads for Lightning Desktop.
All right, so let's get started. Let's talk about the safe harbor. Don't buy things we haven't built. There are many use cases for sidebar components. How many people in this audience have homepage sidebar components? Probably everybody, or you wouldn't be here. They're great. We love them. You can do so many great things in the Salesforce Classic Sidebar. You've got Quick Create. You have recent items so you can quickly navigate around. You can add messages as an admin, so you can do things like, hey, here's a bonus for our salespeople if you act today. You have custom links so that you can link to things like, here's Sales Central, or all the great competitive info that we have, or any other intranet things that you might have. And even better, you can create custom components. How many people have created custom components that sit in their sidebar? All right, we've got maybe half the audience, or maybe some are being shy, eating some lunch. They're great. Some of the things that are also great about the homepage sidebar components, they travel with you across the app. I can go to opportunities, and I have my trusty sidebar there. I can go over to cases, and I have my sidebar. It's a warm and happy place. It gives me comfort. I can put code in there. That code will execute most places in Salesforce. But there's a dark side of the homepage sidebar components. They don't go to every page. If you're on Chatter, there's no sidebar. If you're in dashboards, there's no sidebar. If you're in reports, you don't have that sidebar. Also, you're limited to this narrow spot. You only have something like 250 pixels to play with. If only there was a better solution. Introducing Lightning Utilities. We wanted to take all of the goodness of homepage sidebar components and make them even better. We've introduced this footer that you can add to any Lightning app, and you can put in any Lightning component that you want. You have more real estate so that you can do cool things like put a full-fledged chart that is one click away to have access to all these great productivity tools. You can do things like recent items. You can put in alerts. You can reuse the Lightning components you've already created today as utilities. We wanted to make it as easy as possible so that you could reap the rewards of the investment you've already put into Lightning. Other things that are great about this, they preload with the page, similar to Lightning component sidebar. Also, they don't have what I'm going to call these blackout pages. If you go to Chatter, you still see the utility bar. If you go to reports and dashboards, you still see the utility bar. So we've tried to solve all those problems that we had with the homepage ones and reimagine it in an even better way in Lightning. So let's talk a little bit deeper about technology. This is a developer track. Most of you are probably developers. If you've created Visualforce in the past, the way this works, whenever you're loading a Visualforce component, we're making a call to the server. Now this is great, it's powerful, it's where our code lives, but with Lightning, you can have a client-side controller. What this means for you and your end users, it can be super fast. A lot of things that used to take a server request and flicker that page now can be done instantaneously in the JavaScript controller. But I'm not a developer, Heather. Why don't you tell me more?
I have one.
I have a developer up here who can tell me all about the power of Lightning.
Sure. So who here has used or written a Lightning page before, or used App Builder? Just a couple people. Okay. Who has looked at a record page like accounts, contacts in Lightning Desktop? All right. Those pages that you're looking at in Lightning Desktop are actually called Lightning pages. And what they basically are is you can define a page template or structure to your page, and then you can fill that with whatever custom Lightning components you want. So we've leveraged the same architecture for the utility bar to allow you to flexibly customize what utilities go in there. So what does that mean? That means you can take any Lightning component that you already have, or a new one that you want to write, and you'll have to do just one thing for that component to be available in the utility bar. There's an interface called FlexiPage available for all page types that you can add to your component, which we'll show you the source in a little bit. And what that basically means is I can use this component on any Lightning page.
So we don't have to rewrite all of our Lightning components to make them utilities?
No, you just slap this interface on, and not only can they use this in a utility utility bar. They could use it in a record page as well.
Or a home page.
Or a home page, any Lightning page.
Love it.
So it's a pretty easy interface. Utility bars are part of a new feature in Winter 17 called Custom Application. And this is essentially the Lightning equivalent of an Aloha app. So this is pretty new. You can create a custom application and setup through the App Manager. And right now, you can only add a couple default utilities through the setup wizard, and those require additional licensing for things like voice. But through our API, you can add any custom Lightning component you want today.
Whoa, so you're saying as an API first company, we are giving these capabilities to our developers first before we have a user interface?
Yes, we want to get this out to you quickly, fast, and get feedback on it.
So only you and the audience have the power to create this rich experience in your Lightning apps.
Awesome, so let's dive deeper into a utility. So you can see a couple things. It's got a title, it's got an icon, height, width. So the cool thing about utilities is you don't have to actually include any of these attributes in your Lightning component. You want to keep your Lightning component nice and clean. So instead, you can specify all these attributes when you actually make the API request to create the Lightning page. And you can change these things. And there's a couple cool features. So one is that if you have multiple utilities, you can make them different heights and widths. So maybe one takes up more screen real estate and one of them is very small. You can customize that. Another feature is that you can mark a utility to load with the page. So something like if you're accepting incoming calls, you want that to load with the page because you need to start listening. Or if you have maybe some utility that the user can access later, you could specify that eager equals false, and then the utility would only load on the first click. So pretty cool. So there's just 4 easy steps to actually add a Lightning component and make that as part of a utility bar. And we're going to go ahead and dive into the demo.
Let's dive in.
We're going to do it live.
Okay, where do we start?
So what we've done is we've preloaded a Lightning component in the developer console. So take us there, John.
Well, first let's look at our great utility or our sidebar in Aloha or in Classic. You can expand it, you can collapse it. It's got these great things. And then what we added over here is a visual force component that we're going to reimagine in Lightning. So if I go to one of my opportunities, what this does is it grabs the amount. This is the list price. It puts in a recommended discount that is preloaded into that component. I can then change the discount of it. You see that flicker because we're going back to the server. I can change this to different amounts, and then it's also going to update whether we need approval or not. So this might be a handy little tool that we could give to our salespeople so that they understand at what thresholds they're going to need different approvers. But this isn't Classic, and we want to live in Lightning. So let's go to Lightning.
Let's do it. And let's open that developer console.
Okay, we're going to switch to our Lightning sales app. This is the sales app everybody got with Winter 17, or if you're not on the first couple, in a week or two.
So as you can see, there was no utility bar on that app. You want to switch back?
No footer. We're in our dev console. Now what do we do?
So we've already written the Lightning component, but I want to point out some things about it. So you've got that interface, Flexi page, available for all page types. That is the only thing that we needed to add to make this component available in the utility bar. You can also implement other interfaces, so you're not limited. You can see, I don't know how many of you have actually written one of these. There's some attributes, there's some event handling. If you scroll down a little, we have HTML, very basic component.
So we've got like this discount attribute, which is decimal, and then we've got some events that are happening, and then we try to reference things here. Is that right? What's this V?
Right, so that's referring to one of the attributes we defined above.
Oh, so that's like the name up here. Okay.
So essentially what we're going to do is every time the record changes, we're going to take the new attributes and repopulate the page. And that's all going to happen dynamically. So in our controller, we're handling some of the events that are happening. So if somebody's typing in a new value into one of the input text fields, we're getting an event, and then we're handling it and performing some calculations to update the rest of the component.
So it looks like you're referencing these similar attributes in the JavaScript controller so that you can do like the calculations and stuff. Is that right?
Correct. We're doing all these calculations on the client.
So what's this helper thing?
So in both the controller and the helper. Generally, you want to put kind of your event handling logic in the controller and then all your heavy lifting in the helper.
Cool.
You can see we've got a bunch of calculation functions here. Pretty sweet.
So we've got the markup in the component. We've got the controller in JavaScript here, and it can also reuse your existing Apex if you want to reference that. And then you can do a lot of the heavy lifting in the helper here, which flows through to all of these. Okay, so we've got a Lightning component. Are we done?
Well, we've got to create a Lightning page.
Lightning page, how do we create a Lightning page?
Well, right now, you can only do this through the API.
Okay, so we want to create a utility Lightning page. How would I get started with that?
So you can use any web-based tool that you want here. We're going to use Workbench. So we're also going to use the tooling API. So the tooling API is essentially the same as the standard data SOAP REST API. The only difference is that it operates on metadata objects instead of data objects. So FlexiPage is the metadata entity name for a Lightning page. Lightning page is more of the branding. So we are going to make a call to post a new FlexiPage. And this is the request body. There's a couple things I'll point out. The page template is one utility bar template desktop. And that's that template I was referring to earlier where it just kind of defines the structure of the page. And the type is utility bar. So that's basically saying this is a utility bar Lightning page. It's not a record page. It's not a home page. So those two things are constants. So you would use those exact values in your request.
So what else is going on in here? So we've said, okay, this is a specific Lightning page. That's a utility bar.
Correct.
What else do we have to do?
So we've got to actually populate it with utilities.
Okay.
So you've got this attribute called FlexiPage regions. So a region is one of the regions within your template, and the utility bar is really simple. It really only has one region, and it really just takes an array of components. So you can define multiple components in this array if you wanted to, but for our example, we're just going to show you one. So the component instance has it has the name of the Lightning component, C, discount calculator. C is the default namespace if you have a custom component and you haven't defined your own namespace. And then the component instance properties are those attributes that we were talking about earlier. Things like title, icon, width, type.
So these are not defined on the component itself, but they're added to the page when you add the utility. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Love it.
You can, they have default values, but if you want to change any of the defaults, you can just update them here.
So what are we going to see? We've got an icon, a money bag one. What's the label going to do?
The label is going to be what shows up in the footer. The label and the icon will show up in the footer.
Okay, then we're setting our height and width. Okay, this looks great. So we've got our Lightning page, now what?
Let's post that to the server.
Okay, so we're gonna go into Workbench here. REST Explorer is just a way to do different calls. We've already logged into our Winter 17 organization. There's a specific endpoint, so it's version 38. It's called the Flexi page, also known as a Lightning page, and you can just paste that body in. Let's see if our internet works here. Okay, we got a success true. No errors, and then you can see the response too. So we've added our Lightning page to our organization. Now what?
So now all we have to do is add a reference to this utility bar to our custom application.
How do we do that?
Well, so for Winter 17, the custom application API is not available in the tooling API yet. So we can't use our friendly REST Explorer, and we actually have to use the Metadata API. Sad face, yes, but still not too bad. So we're going to go ahead and retrieve a package for all of the custom applications. So essentially, usually the Metadata API is used for things like deploying data to sandboxes. So we're not really we don't have that use case exactly, but this is the API we have to use right now. So go ahead and, John, why don't you pull up that package.xml file?
Yeah, what's this unpackaged manifest? That sounds hard.
So to make a request to get all the custom applications, you would just copy this data, and this is essentially just a query that says, give me all the custom applications.
Okay, so we've got this file, package.xml, and we're saying get the custom applications and get all of them. Okay.
Yep, Let's do it.
So then we've got to save this somewhere on our computer. Here we saved it just to our desktop. We're going to go into our file browser here. We're going to select that.
Now you'll notice that this is making async requests.
That was fast.
Completed really fast, but sometimes it takes a little while, and it's because it's an async call, and it's kind of checking on the call every couple seconds.
Why did it give me a zip file?
So if we look in this zip file, we're going to see that every custom application has a file in here. So we're going to find the one that we want, which one is that, John?
This is the Lightning Sales app. So as a quick reminder, Utility Bar only works in Lightning apps. So any of these that might have come in Classic or you created in Classic, you cannot directly add a Utility Bar to. You have to make a Lightning app, grab it here, and then you can add Utility Bar to it. We have shipped this standard Lightning Sales app to every customer with Winter 17, so that can be a good place to start. So we're going to unzip that. We're going to bring it in here. Let's open it up in our text editor, and it looks something like this. So what are we looking at?
So you can see these are like all of the attributes on custom application, and you can see we've got a bunch of our navigation tabs. So very similar to Aloha app there. We don't actually have a utility bar though, so we need to add the name of the utility bar that we just added.
So at the bottom here, you can add a tag, Utility Bar.
Yep.
You copy that full name, and if just as a quick recap, we got that right from our insert. So our great new utility bar, we're just pasting that right in here. Then we can save the file. Now what?
So now all we got to do is upload the same zip that we just kind of copied the file back to, and we need to deploy it to our org.
Okay, so we're going to put it back in this folder. It's going to replace that version. Then we're going to switch from retrieve to deploy.
So we'll choose this file.
All right, let's make sure we get the right zip file. I have lots and lots of files. Give me 1 second here. And I think it's going to be...
That looks like the right time.
Let's see if this works. I think I downloaded the wrong file, but we'll see. We're going to deploy it. Let's wait for the asynchronous updates to happen. And then how would we test this out?
So to test it out, you just refresh the page. That's really all you have to do.
So what we'll see in here, once this updates, because this is an asynchronous API, could take a while, we're going to switch to our Sales with Utility Bar app. So what we have in here is pre-configured our discount calculator. So this is that Lightning component that Heather built and that you just saw over there.
Select an opportunity to populate that.
All right, let's go to Express Logic. What's going on here? This is pretty cool.
So this is picking up the record context and it's populating those fields, and then this is the exact same component that we had in the sidebar as a Lightning component.
One of the things I love about this, there's no flicker. Like this is immediate, it's instant. So with that JavaScript controller, this is a super seamless experience when I'm typing in here.
Sweet, and we've got some other utilities too to show you some other use cases. So those other things that John had in the sidebar, the alerts, if you have, there's a new deal, there's a new bonus, or recent items, this you can actually click on one of these and it will navigate you there. Pretty cool. Then we've got a pipeline one. That's a report chart, and this replies needed. We've made this so it contains a list of all the posts that people have mentioned you in. So if you wanted to kind of keep a running list of who's contacted you recently, you can type right in there and address the comment.
This is pretty cool, Heather.
So has our request finished?
Looks like it has.
Sweet. So let's see if that utility bar is there.
We're going to close this. Let's switch over. This is a live demo.
So
folks.
that was the app launcher. That's so you can switch between custom applications using that app launcher, and that's a new feature too.
We're going to give this a few refreshes just in case. Okay, so we do aggressive caching at Salesforce. Sometimes you make these metadata changes and it gets picked up a minute or two later. But hopefully what you are seeing is the great power of the utility bar with this application. You can use your pre-existing Lightning components. You can build the new ones. You can use the Salesforce standard Lightning components and add those as utilities. You can add all your report charts and things like that. But Heather, what do you do when you're not working on the utility bar?
Well, one thing first that I want to point out. So the cool thing about the utilities too is once you've actually added it to your page, you can continue development on your component. So you could have built a shell of a component and then added it via API, and then you can just edit it and if you refresh the page, it'll pick up all the updates.
That's pretty cool. So you could just go
neat.
into the dev console here, huh?
Yeah, and you could just edit the stuff and then refresh the page. Like once the utility bar is associated with that custom app, it just remains associated with it.
And I should have said this at the beginning, you don't have to take copious notes. We have a very detailed document which covers all of this, step-by-step guide, all of the endpoints, sample JSON, sample XML for the package.xml, examples of how you'd use these tools to add your own first Hello World utility bar, and how you can add even more and configure all these options. And we'll be sharing that in the session record with everybody shortly after.
Awesome.
So what else do we have, Heather?
So we've been developing a cool new experience for Lightning called Lightning Console, and John is going to demo that.
So in Lightning Console, as you can see here, this is a very limited pilot of Winter 17. This is not generally available, but we are so excited that we wanted to give you all a sneak peek. What is different between console apps and standard apps is you can have multiple records open at once. I have a case right here. I have an opportunity right here. I can switch seamlessly between them. There's no page load. We've designed this experience with productivity in mind. We wanted to take all those great experiences from the classic Service Console and Sales Console, and we wanted to bring these to Lightning. We allow you to open up more than one opportunity here. We can go into others.
Yeah, so open a related record.
All right, let's do Heather, our owner.
So you'll see that a sub-tab opens. So essentially when you click on various links within here, they will open as sub-tabs within your primary workspace. So that allows you to have context of all your related records in one spot.
We can open up a lot of records really fast using what we call split view here. We've got a toggle to go back and forth so you can go back to full vista.
So this is really good. Split view is really good if you're working down a list of leads or cases. You can have the list visible at the same time that you're working on the records. And really this whole experience allows you to stay in context. And the coolest part is that your utility bar feature is also available on console custom apps.
So you can share this same utility bar across multiple apps. So you only develop it once, and then you just connect it to your other apps. So we want to make sure that you're getting the best bang for the buck for your effort. And one of the coolest things that I like about the console apps, never before could you have Force.com licenses using a console app. In the February release, we're planning to release new packaging and pricing, which will allow path forward for Force.com licenses with an add-on to use console apps. So this should be a great way for ISVs out there that want to use this high productivity workspace to deliver this to their customers without having to purchase a full CRM license.
That sounds pretty awesome.
That is pretty awesome. So I hope that you all are as excited as we are about utilities and the console. We wanted to open it up for questions. Any brave soul? Surely there's someone in the back.
What kinds of APIs are going to be available in custom components when they're loaded via the utility bar? For example, open CTI APIs?
So there is a Service Cloud team that has spent a lot of time making sure that the standard CTI Lightning component has all of the API interactions it needs so that partners that are already delivering CTI solutions in Classic can leverage that Lightning component. For people that want to use those API for other things, those are not GA in the Winter 17 release. We're still looking at which release we want to target to expose APIs similar to the, integration toolkit in Service Cloud. We don't know yet which release, so I can't make a promise, unfortunately. But it is high on our list. Other questions?
Yep.
Is there plans for console experience in the communities?
I've been talking with the community's people. They have their own custom navigation as well. So I encourage you to go to the community's roadmap sessions so they'll give you the most accurate info. I know they've been exploring for moderation, which is like a high volume environment, using aspects of the console to make moderation as easy as possible and as fast as possible.
Is the component able to tell that you're in between two different opportunities?
So I'll take this one. So right now, with Winter 17, we don't have the record context in the actual utility bar, like wired up. So like if you have a record Lightning page and you implement an interface called Force has record ID, you would automatically get your record ID set on that component. We don't have the equivalent of that in the utility bar yet, but it's high on our list.
We know we need to do it. We don't know the timing yet.
We want to make it really easy, so we want to auto wire that record ID in for you. The other cool thing that I want to mention, so currently you have to have like an Apex controller if you want to load record data. But there's a new Lightning data service that's currently in developer preview, and that has a component called Force Record Preview. And that component allows you to load a record completely client-side. And what it'll do is it takes advantage of a bunch of client-side caching. And so if the record's already been loaded, it doesn't go to the server at all, which is pretty cool.
So it makes it super fast.
Yeah, so if you just, if you look for that, it's all documented online, like I said, in developer preview. So you could, in theory, once we wire that record context in, you could set that record context on this Force Record Preview component, and it would just get all the record data client side, and it would be super easy. So that's kind of our goal.
Other questions? Oh, sorry. Thank you. It's the lights. Please.
I have a question regarding the console, the custom console app. How is it different than the custom console app that is already available on the Classic?
So the question was, how are the console apps different in Lightning versus Classic? The broad strokes are very similar. We want to make sure that people that are using the Service Console today and the Sales Console today to be able to seamlessly use the benefits in Lightning. Under the covers, there's going to be some changes. One obvious one is if we go to our console application, it's using a Lightning page. It's not using the same layout that you have in Classic. In Classic, you have 9 regions where you can add components, and a lot of times people will put visual components into those regions. We're using Lightning App Builder and Lightning Pages to add pages here to the console. It's still going to have the same workspaces, pinning, refresh, close tabs. It's still going to have this footer, which we call the utility bar here. It's going to use Lightning components though instead of Visual Force for it. You're still going to be able to define which menu items you want here. And then we have a long roadmap of other things that we want to support in the console as well. Things like multi-monitor, more of those detailed APIs and more. Happy to talk more afterwards too.
Yep.
So in a situation in my company, or many companies, you have a lot of salespeople caring about the pipeline and all that other stuff, versus if we have an accounting user, they really wouldn't care about any particular pipeline. Is there any way to kind of customize the utility bar for different users?
Yep.
in the same app?
Yeah, oh, using
Not
the same
for the
app.
same app.
Not the same app.
So there might be like a hacky code way to do it if you really wanted, but it's not recommended. Right now, the Lightning page is associated to a single app. The best way I could recommend that is if you had 2 apps with 2 different utility bars, one for each persona that you're building for.
Yeah,
So
and then
like-
you can assign the custom app to any set of profiles that you want.
So for example, internally, I expect what we're going to do is have an inside sales app for our inside salespeople, and that's going to have a set of utilities. And then there's going to be like a standard sales app for our account executives that aren't clicking through as many records as frequently as an inside salesperson. Then there'll probably be a 3rd app for service so that they can go through their cases. And then there'll probably be a 4th app for the experienced services people who have different workflow needs than the people going higher volume.
Another cool thing is that the pages that you see for like an account or contact, you can actually customize that for a particular custom app.
Yeah.
So you could control what record components live on the record page for each user profile as well.
Yeah, for the first time ever, we've let you assign layouts by app.
And hopefully this makes things much easier than the current way to assign layouts.
And what people will ask for next is, wait, I really want to assign by profile and record type too, though. That's coming in a release soon. It's not in Winter 17, unfortunately. Any other questions? Well, feel free to come up. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming. We appreciate it. We're looking forward to seeing all your utilities.